Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, America. It's great to be the warm-up act for the Vice President. So it's a real honor to be back here at the summit of people who believe in the founding principles of our great republic, the greatest nation on God's earth. I'm here to send you a very simple message, and it's one that hopefully you've heard in the last few weeks and months, but then a call to arms with regards to that message, and it has to do with an event that's just a few days away, and it's called the midterms. In 2016, in November, we really saw divine intervention. I don't know about you, I was sitting on my porch with my teenage son. We started the evening trepidatious. We saw the New York Times barometer. Do you remember the barometer on the website of the New York Times? Hillary, 95% victory, yes? The Huffington Post had her at 98% victory. And we sat there, and as the hours progressed, what happened? The barometer moved in the right direction. And by the wee hours of that morning, justice had won. As a friend of mine told me after the elections, that was a close one. We had 2 wheels off the cliff. I said, no, 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 no. We had 3 wheels over the edge. And a real estate billionaire from Queens brought it back. I don't care which God you pray to. I do really, but whoever it is, that night was proof that he exists. And just look at the last 19 months. Take politics out of the equation. Let's be completely neutral here. Just the results of the last 19 months would be something any president, Republican or Democrat, would be proud of after 8 years in office. Not a year and a half. Whether it's crushing the physical caliphate of ISIS, whether it's bringing us 4.2% GDP growth rate, whether it's having companies repatriate more than $300 billion with a B, $300 billion to America because of the tax reform the president signed. These are incredible, incredible achievements. But how were they achieved? How were they accomplished? Because of the nature of the man who is the 45th president. I had the highest honor of my career to serve as his strategist, to serve as deputy assistant to the president. And the question everybody always asks me is, what is he really like? Well, let me share with you for a few minutes what he's really like and why we must support him. We must be his force multipliers. This is a man, when I first met him in the summer of 15, I'd been invited by his campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, to come and meet candidate Trump and help prepare him for the national security debates of the GOP presidential candidates. And within milliseconds, it was just the 3 of us in his office in Trump Tower in New York, I realized that this is a man I can support. Why? Because he is the kryptonite of political correctness. He hates political correctness with a passion, and after 8 years of the insanity of the Obama administration, you just heard it on the prior panel, when federal government was telling us that teenage boys could go into the girls' locker room. I mean, that's the level of insanity we're talking about. And along comes a man who says, basta, no more, no more. Common sense. Donald Trump's victory is the revenge of common sense. I am now a proud American. I know I've got a funny accent. I am a legal immigrant, okay? Legal. And for me, one of the defining characteristics of my fellow American is common sense. Yes? We look at something, and if it's broke, we're going to fix it. And Donald Trump looked at this swamp, looked at this city, looked at politics on left and right, and said, it's broken, and guess what? I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. And remember, left and right. What November is going to be a test of is the following. The establishment GOP Republican Party has to come to the realization that Donald J. Trump became president despite them. Not thanks to them, but despite them. And it's something you all know, but it bears repeating. When we, as a nation, 60 million Americans chose Donald Trump to be president, we chose something that was historic. In the history of our republic, never before, none of the preceding 44 chief executives, none of them had risen to that office without either having a prior political job or serving as a general in our military, like Eisenhower. Everybody before Donald Trump was either a former senator, a congressman, or a governor, or a general. But Donald Trump is none of those. Why? Because we wanted change, and we want to drain the swamp. How much change? Let me share with you one anecdote to illustrate just the gargantuan proportions of the change that this man has brought to the swamp. This is from a cabinet member. I can't tell you his name, but this is what the cabinet member shared with me. Amongst the amazing achievements of the last 19 months, Donald Trump must rate at the top of the list Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the Israeli nation. And the decision to move our embassy to the eternal capital of Jerusalem. Our best friend in the Middle East, the only real democracy. As this decision was being debated inside the White House, only 3 members of the president's cabinet supported him. Okay? 3 members. Everybody else was petrified. Said, this is going to launch World War III. One of the members of the cabinet said, they're going to burn down every US embassy in the region. If you do this, President, don't do it. What was the president's response? After 23 years of Republican and Democrat presidents promising to recognize Jerusalem, but not doing so, think of the insanity that every 6 months they had to sign a waiver out of the White House to say, not now, sorry, we're scared. No, literally, for 23 years. Donald Trump says, this ends now. And what he said was very telling about who this man is. And you know this in your gut, but let me tell you what he told the cabinet. He said, I promised the American people that I was going to do this. I promised our brothers and sisters in Israel that I'm going to do this. Oh, and by the way, it's the right thing to do. That, my friends, that is Donald J. Trump. He is incredible in terms of his dedication to what is right and his capacity to never, ever give in. He is a steam locomotive. He is a Mack truck, and he just keeps on rolling. And think of everything he's put up with. I mean, just think about it, right? I was in the White House for a short period, and I, as a proxy to the president, I saw a little bit of what he lives through. I had one journalist write 52 hit pieces on me in 7 months. 52. I had journalists attack my wife, my teenage son, attack my dead mother. Okay? This is why when he says the fake news is the enemy of the American people, he's absolutely right. They are the enemy. The fake news are the enemy of the people. And what I went through was nothing by comparison to the president. Attacking his 10-year-old son, calling him a bigot, an anti-Semite. This is a man whose grandchildren are Orthodox Jews. Can we wrap our heads around the lack of moral substance, the utter moral turpitude of anybody who's a journalist who says this man's a racist or an anti-Semite? This is a man who's already pardoned an African-American heavyweight boxer who was prosecuted for racial reasons. He's already pardoned an African-American grandmother who was convicted on drug dealing crimes. And this is the racist? This is the anti-Semite? It's despicable. Despicable. And as such, I now want to extend a personal invitation to you. Not an invitation, it's a cri de coeur. It's a rallying cry. He is the most powerful man in the world who's doing for us what he's doing, not for the money, right? He's donating his massive salary back to the government. I think he's got enough money. He's not doing it for the fame. I think Donald Trump was quite famous enough. Why is he doing it? Because he loves our country. The left, all of them, from Maxine Waters on to Anderson Cooper, and I'm sorry, Anderson, you do know that Nick at Night still beats CNN. I mean, think of it. We are 325 million people, 600,000 people watch Anderson overnight. Less than 0.5% of the US population. So don't give them their due. They are irrelevant. But I want you to push back, because this man is fighting for you. And what's stunning about Donald Trump, and this is what the left will never, ever believe, is he only wants 2 things for all Americans. He wants you all to be safe, and he wants you and your family to prosper. That's it. Safety and prosperity. And the shocking thing that the left will never, never, never admit, and I'll swear on the good book to this, because I saw it with my own eyes in the Oval. He wants that for all Americans, whether you voted for him or not. Whether you voted for Hillary, whether you wanted Bernie to win, doesn't matter. Are you an American? Well, guess what? I want you to be safe, and I want you to prosper. That's Donald J. Trump. Now, he is the 45th president of the United States. He is the most powerful man in the world, but he's only one man. And this is my personal request to you. My old colleague Steve Bannon has a new film out called Trump at War. Please check it out. It's already been released online, Trump at War. And in it I use an analogy that I will share with you today. Think of the physics of ice breaking. I don't know if we've got any former Navy in the room or Merchant Marine. When a sea lane freezes over and you have to free it up because it has to be used for freedom of navigation, what do? You deploy an ice-breaking ship. You send in a special vessel, massive ship with a tungsten hull that's going to ride up on that ice and smash it and create a pathway to freedom. That's what happened in America. For 30 years, we had an increasingly thick permafrost layer of ice lock our country down. That was political correctness. In the media, Hollywood, politics, you name it, universities. And along comes a man who says, this is wrong. And that man from Queens, like an ice-breaking ship, smashes that political correctness to give us our freedom back. That's what happened on November 2016. But you know the physics of ice breaking? The ship will crack through the ice. But if there isn't a flotilla behind them, what happens? The ice parts, the broken pieces of ice, come around the hull, around the bow, and almost instantly re-knit themselves and close down that sea lane. Donald Trump is the icebreaker, but you must be the flotilla. You must be the armada. So my request is this: don't take anything for granted. Listen to the president. At every rally he says, what do? We get our guy into the White House, and 2 years later when the midterms comes, what happens? We're off busy running our businesses, paying for our kids' school, and we don't go and vote. And what happens? The other side packs the House and the Senate. Don't let it happen again, because if you like the last year and a half, we'll lose it all. And we need what? 6 more years of Donald Trump, and then 6 more years of President Pence. So, my request, I'm out of time, so I'm going to keep it simple. My request is very easy. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how much of a technological Luddite you consider yourself to be. By midnight tonight, if you are in this room or if you're listening, if you don't have a Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram account, you are part of the problem, not part of the solution. That's how serious I am. Why? Because Donald Trump, there's a reason he has 54 million followers on Twitter. Because he's getting the truth out. And you should too. You should be retweeting him. You should be reposting him. You should be fighting back against the fake news. So, by midnight tonight, every single one of you, I want you up on social media. And you know I know people who can check. Okay? So, there you go. Don't take anything for granted. Tell everybody around you. Very simple question. Take politics out of it. I'm not here to give a political speech. Take politics out of it. Do you like the last year and a half? Ask your neighbor. And if your neighbor says, yeah, I like the fact that my 401k is skyrocketing. I like the fact that my cousin got off opioids. I think it's really cool. Well, then how about 6 more years? God bless.